Coming up on Ozarks News Journal, H1N1. Flu season is upon us. What can you do to prevent getting sick? A look into the battle against area gang activity.
And are we ready for the next big weather emergency? Ozarks News Journal starts now. Hello and welcome to Ozarks News Journal. I'm Katie Easley.
And I'm Charlie Keegan. Each week we take an in-depth look at the biggest issues affecting Southwest Missouri. We're glad to have you with us. Up first today, H1N1. Ozarks residents are taking every precaution as flu season creeps in. Local college campuses are especially concerned. Health officials say there are reasons for greater concern on campuses and have some definite advice about how to protect against viruses.
Nobody knows for sure what this virus is going to do, but everybody's pretty concerned that maybe it'll, just kind of mutate and just keep expanding into our populations. And it seems to affect the younger people a little bit more. So you guys are, the college kids are kind of a target group. So that's the reason why we take it so seriously and have tried to take all the precautions that we can. I don't know if you live in dorms or if you've seen anything on our website, but we've really tried to get the word out of what everybody needs to do to protect themselves as much as they can. Usually there's an elevated temperature, sometimes there's muscle aches, sometimes there's a non-productive cough, occasionally there's diarrhea, sometimes there's vomiting, but there may not be all of those symptoms and there may only be one, and so it makes it a little difficult to try to figure out who has it and who doesn't. I think it's already a school-wide issue, and I think that, before you go over to the union and have fast food or whatnot, you need to make sure and use Purell after you've touched all those doors.
As the H1N1 vaccine roll in slowly, health officials say it's a good idea to get a regular seasonal flu shot while you wait. This will help against the spread of other types of flu.
As we reported last week, methamphetamine is a serious problem here in Missouri. The Show Me State is among the nation's leaders in meth lab busts. Renee Goodwin is here with more in part 2 of our look into this very dangerous drug. Renee?
Thanks, Katie. Meth addicts will tell you they are hooked the very first time they try the drug. The addiction is so strong that it's said to quickly take over the lives of those who use it, and it doesn't take long to hit rock bottom and lose everything, including family, friends, jobs, and homes. We sat down with 2 recovering meth addicts whose lives drastically changed after a fire started in their southwest Springfield home while they were cooking meth. Due to some of the graphic images, viewer discretion is advised. This is the story of Mark and Leilani Barton.
They look like your typical middle-class family. They could even be your next-door neighbors. Although everything on the outside looks normal, this couple shared a dark secret they kept hidden from everyone until one fateful night in June 2004 when the world they knew went up in flames.
Well, the kids were upstairs asleep in their bedrooms, and it was about midnight. I started making some pseudo. I was pretty much in charge of the pseudo. All of a sudden I heard a crack and Mark cussed and yelled, and I'm like, what? And I went in there and opened the door, and fire everywhere. He was on fire.
Mark Barton was rushed here to St. John's Hospital with burns over 78% of his body. He would remain in the intensive care unit for 3 months fighting for his life. It was here where he began his road to recovery from a 24-year meth addiction.
I didn't wake up one day and say, hey, I want to be a drug addict, and then, hey, I want to be it just all progressed up to that, but wasn't my goal in life when I was a kid.
The reasons people become dependent on methamphetamine varies from person to person, and families like the Bartons just goes to show that meth affects all walks of life.
It's the mom in the minivan with the kids going to the soccer game. Mm-hmm. It's that lady.
Yeah.
It's the guy in the suit driving the Beamer that you just pulled over because he was driving a rag. Well, he's got a little, meth pipe in his pocket. You just don't know. They're everywhere. It's an insidious drug because it permeates all layers of society.
David Rush is a federal prosecutor who favors drug treatment over incarceration.
The meth problem is not just a law enforcement problem. It involves the community getting involved in education, it involves prevention, and then it does involve providing resources for rehabilitation.
Just sending them to prison is not going to, solve the problem. It actually creates more problem because then you got kids growing up without their dad or their mom or maybe both of them. Then you got your foster care, and it just trickles down.
The Barton family is living proof that people can overcome meth addiction with the proper help and counseling. Mark has started a chapter of the national support group called Celebrate Recovery.
And don't hate your parents because they may be on drugs, but it's really addicting and it's hard to get off of them. But obviously things can happen because my parents are off them and we have a happy life now. So.
Just this past August, 5 years after the near-fatal fire, Mark Barton pleaded guilty to 3 felony charges. He's facing 25 years to life in prison. He'll be sentenced on November 13th. In the meantime, Mark continues his work helping meth addicts and has returned to school at Crowder College to get a degree in substance abuse counseling. Leilani is seeking her master's degree in counseling from Missouri State University and hopes to one day be able to open a rehabilitation facility. They have regained full custody of all but one of their children and continue to remain drug-free. Katie and Charlie, back to you.
Thanks, Renee. Gang activity is on the rise throughout the country. What used to be confined to America's larger cities is now a problem that nearly every city and town must deal with. Our Lucas Bond takes a look at this problem and what schools in some communities are doing to make sure young people don't get involved.
Gang activity is on the rise throughout the country, and the Ozarks are no exception. More graffiti like this seems to be popping up each day, and it's usually not a good sign.
When gang members do use graffiti, part of it is to communicate with other gang members to establish that they're there and they're trying to set up camp for the most part.
Davis says gangs in the Ozarks are very similar to larger gangs in bigger cities. Most of them have the same names, beliefs, symbols, and colors, but there is often no big city to little city connection.
We have Bloods and Crips here, and Rolling 60s, and Gangster Disciples, Vice Lords, people who claim all that.
Along with the existence of these well-known gangs, a new breed of gang member is causing problems for police throughout southwest Missouri. They are called hybrid gangs. These gangs usually choose names of more older traditional gangs and create new beliefs.
Sometimes they actually shift membership from one gang to another over time. Not all of them, but some do that.
Chris Davis says drugs are usually the main reason why a gang is created in the first place, and selling those drugs to make quick money is why most hybrid gang members get involved.
Community Partnership of the Ozarks created a gang and youth violence task force in order to stop drugs and other gang-related problems.
It's a coalition that was formed in the mid-90s. At that time, there was a group of gang members who had moved down to this area from Chicago area, again to sell drugs. And the gang task force was initially formed to address that gang.
Keeping gangs from recruiting area teens is a major effort taking place on several fronts. For their part, many local schools are pitching in by making sure teens stay involved in positive activities.
We have activities ranging from book clubs, believe it or not, to guitar clubs, to online gaming clubs, all of these things just to help build relationships and provide a support system for kids.
With the support of police, schools, and the Gang and Youth Violence Task Force, many say there is still hope to curb recruitment and keep gang activity under control here in the Ozarks. In Springfield, Lucas Bond, Ozarks News Journal.
We will take another look into gang activity in the Ozarks in the coming weeks.
The city of Springfield, along with employees of the police and fire departments, could be making a higher contribution to the pension fund. A new report suggested an increase of nearly 10% from both the city and the police and fire departments. The need for increases is blamed largely on the market losses from the pension fund's investments. City Manager Greg Burris says the passing of a pension fund sales tax on November 3rd could help curb the costs.